Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. It's very heartwarming to see all of you here. If my feet could cheer right now, you will hear the Lim Park roar. Just one announcement. After this speech, we start Walk the Talk 2 right here for the next 4 days. You know, I was walking for 4 days. In those 4 days, you get a lot of time to think. And when I got to thinking, you begin to realize that this walk is very much like the political journey that we've taken. It's just long stretches of loneliness. You walk by yourself, right? Interspersed with bursts of high energy activity where you're saying hi to everybody, like during elections. And in between, especially after you get on with the days, fatigue starts to set in. You begin to feel very tired. And you know, then you look back that you had to take that first step to embark on that journey. And after that, there was no looking back, no matter how tired you were. And then when people came up to you to offer you words of encouragement, and many of you have offered you drinks, painkillers, sprays, it just allowed you to take that one more step. And that is what our political journey has been. We haven't come to our destiny yet, but there is no stopping us right now. Along the way, it gets very tiring, but you come up and you give us sustenance, and that helps us go on. And I know that one day we will get to the place that we have been dreaming of. Just like after 4 days, I've come back to Lim Park and completed that journey. Along the way, you also begin to think. And when you think back about the results, and along the way, as I said, many of you have come up and expressed your disappointment, your disillusionment about the results of the last elections. But I keep coming back and I keep telling everybody that despite what has happened, we remain hopeful that one day that change will come. Believe me, it will come. We must persevere. We must persist. We must remain positive in our message. What is that message? The SDP's message is that our future remains bright. That we cannot sacrifice justice, equality, our freedom, our integrity for economic progress. The two can, indeed must, exist and progress together. In fact, from here on out, I will tell you this much, that without political freedom, without a more open society, our economy is going to get deeper and deeper into trouble. Apparently, in the last several quarters, we have been experiencing an economic slowdown. Our productivity level hasn't gone anywhere at all, hovering about 0% in the last decade or so. And this is in spite of the government throwing money at the problem. Prime Minister himself, Lee Hsien Loong, has said that we've maxed out on the easy ways of achieving economic growth. But he doesn't know, he's acknowledged that from here on out, productivity is going to be hard to achieve. It's going to be very tough. And yet, he doesn't want to acknowledge that study after study shows that productivity cannot increase if your workforce, if your population continues to labor under stressful and fearful conditions. But then he will keep telling us that the Vietnamese, the Indians, the Chinese, they're hungry and they're here to steal our jobs. We better guard our jobs. It is that kind of fear that our workers continue to have to look out over their shoulders all the time, working under stress, working under fear of losing our jobs, that continues to be a drag on our productivity. And so the SDP continues to put out this message that political freedom by and in and of itself is important. But if you think about it, it is a necessity for us if we want to continue with our economic progress. And so our message to this government is that you must be a government that inspires, not intimidates. One that calls on the best in all of us, not dumbs down society. And the only way that this can happen is that we liberalize our political system, starting with the media. In this day and age, we still have every TV station, every radio channel, every newspaper firmly in the hands of the PAP. We must be one of the very few countries left in the world that has this system. And this much I will tell you. If we continue on this way, our people are going to be drained of the energy. Our best and brightest are going to leave this country. Throughout my walk, I have had so many people who said not only were they disappointed with the election's results, but that they were seriously contemplating on leaving this country because they've lost all hope. And this is where I think Mr. Lee Hsien Loong must realize that he is uniquely placed, that he is at this crossroads. Choose the right path. We will continue our progress. We will become an even more dynamic society. Choose the wrong one, and we will stagnate. We will even regress. If he knows what is good for Singapore, then take that route. As for the SDP, we are here. We are not going to go anywhere. Many years ago, I met the late Lim Park. Some of you may know who he is. Lim Park was one of the founding members of the PAP, and at the start, he was even more popular then Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. He was destined to be the Prime Minister of Singapore. But through the British colonial government, the back of his movement was broken. And he never saw the Prime Ministership. In fact, he was detained under the ISA and abused and tortured and was finally released. He was the shell of a man. All I've heard of him was that he was this democratic, charismatic leader. When he stood and spoke, people listened. He could move the crowds. I just remember that statement that he made when he says, "Wah masuk first year, lu jangan ghostan." And the entire crowd rose up with him. But when I met him, when he finally was allowed to return to Singapore, it was just a few months, I think, before his death. And at that time, we were having dinner at a friend's place. And throughout the entire evening, he didn't say a word. And when we were finally about to leave, he turned to me, he held my arm, and he said, "Don't give up."
Yes, don't give up.
And I responded, I said, "I won't."
Yes.
My friends, stay with me, because I intend to keep that promise. Thank you very much. Thank you.